Good morning. So, we're at war against people in government power. You slow down. We're at war against people in government power. A political war, nonetheless, a war. We're going to talk about that this morning. Rally troops, and we're going to talk about this political war against people in the government. Talk to you about why and how it's done. We're at war right now in America, specifically in the state of Tennessee, against people in government power, against rogue people in government power. A political war of attrition, which is, keep on going in spite of casualties. You pick up the losses and carry on. And we've done that. And also messaging. It's a war of messaging, of propaganda, truthful propaganda. We're at war in the state of Tennessee against our government in the United States of America, all across America. You in your country, we got people from other countries watching. And, you may need to go to war against your country. We thank you all over the world watching the Charles Van Morgan Show, Unbridled News Live, where we just tell you the honest to God truth and not taking that slangly. The truth, and use good God-given common sense, even if you're not a Christian, and also use a scriptural basis. We're at war, a literal war against our government in the state of Tennessee, while as we are fighting with the politics, and let me make this clear, not with bullets or violence. It is nonetheless a war of attrition and messaging with us, while they use violence against us. People in government power in the state of Tennessee use violence against us. So we're at war against our own government. Hang on board and we'll give you facts, dates, and times. So welcome, welcome. Thank you. This is Charles Van Morgan Show. You won't hear this anywhere else. Let's turn this around and get set up to get into this great show we've got for you today. A war of messaging and attrition in the state of Tennessee. Now we are a political war, which means we use politics, political war, which is messaging and attrition, nonviolent war against corrupt people in government power. I don't say that lightly. This is a real phenomenon. This is not a joke. This is not a toy. I'm not a toy. You won't hear any other Unbridled News show or political speaker speak in these terms. Even Donald Trump doesn't speak like I speak. Even any other presidential candidate has not been as bold and blatant as me in direct attack on our government systems, and it's because it's out of necessity. They have brought us to this, to where it is necessary, and a lot of it's not pretty. We have to get through the ugly before we can get to the better, but we have to call out the wickedness and the corruption where it is, so we can show you where we're at. Because they'll tell you where we're at. We're in a beautiful place, according to them. A wonderful, beautiful place in the United States of America, freest country in the world, best of everything, while it can be. And this is the greatest country in the world because of the ability to change it through nonviolence is what we're going to do. We have some of the worst health care. We have some of the worst poverty. We have the worst people in government power, substantially, not all of them, throughout the whole United States of America, and specifically in the state of Tennessee. They are lying to you. They're messaging every day in a lot of different ways, free for them, and they're putting us through violence. I mean, I have been the subject of government violence myself, and I have put out a warning. They won't beat me to death without a fight. I will try to defend my life. So you're listening to Unbridled News, Charles Van Morgan. This is stuff you won't hear anywhere else. It's just the plain, honest to God truth. So subscribe to the channel, listen to the truth. Join this movement of nonviolence. It's Voters of Truth Enraged. If you live in Tennessee, Voters of Tennessee Enraged. And we can beat them at the ballot box through attrition, through civil litigation, and through messaging. And that's what we aim to do today. So we're talking about we are at war, call it what it is, against people in government power in our state of Tennessee and all across the United States. Now, I don't believe in violence. It's not that kind of war. They do. They believe in extreme violence. I mean, you can look all over the place and see extreme violence by people in government power in the state of Tennessee, and threats of violence against people who are standing up for voting. So I'm putting out the truth at my own risk, and you can help me by subscribing to the channel. Makes it less likely that they will attack me or assassinate me. And they have tried in the past already. They've tried. This is not conspiracy, they tried. They've made a new law now that they can't put out officers' pictures in the paper after a deadly incident. They put out my picture in the paper back several years ago, knowing that that could likely cause my death or the death of one of my families. So they know, if they didn't know, why they put out a law about it now. So they literally tried to have me killed while I was out serving society. Better than any lone officer in the whole state of Tennessee. Now, that's not bragging, that's the damn truth, and I'm doing that now today. Putting out the truth to power for you, to protect you. Now, this is not my fight. I didn't choose this fight. This is your fight, and I ask you to join me. This is a fight for you to get your government and people in power to serve you, because they're not serving you now. And I'm going to tell you about a study conducted by several universities for several decades that showed that the mass populace of Americans, and it specifically relates to Tennessee too, do not have any say in the policies of what their government does. So you don't have any say in what your government does, substantially. Now, if people in power and the oligarchy and the government and the corporations, which are really government corporations, and the people behind the scenes with the real power agree with your political positions, then it appears like you get your way. But you're not really getting your way. You're agreeing with what's going to be their way anyway. So that's how that's done. So we're talking about rallying the troops, a political war against people in government power while they're conducting a violent war against us. And we're going to explain that today on this show, Rally the Troops, and talk to you about, if you're a Christian, some biblical principles, why this is a just war. You shouldn't go to war unless it's a just war. Now, this is a political war, so a lot of the principles of a violent armed conflict doesn't apply. While they are using it, we are not, because we can do it without that. We can do it without that. Although our Constitution in the state of Tennessee, and I'm going to read it to you, gives us the authority, the people, to overtake their government. It's written in our Constitution. And I'll read it to you. It's our agreement. It's the law with the state of Tennessee, with government powers, that if they don't serve us, then we do have a right under our Constitution, our constitutional rights in Tennessee, state of Tennessee, to overtake our government, overturn it. So that would not be a mutiny. That wouldn't be wrong if it came to that. Now, that's not where we're at now. And I'm not saying to do that. I'm saying to overturn the government at the voting booth. And I'm going to explain to you how they don't represent you in government power today. In the state of Tennessee specifically, it's all a rouge. It's all false. It's all fake. It's all false propaganda, messaging that tells you something that is not true. And your government's doing that to you every day in the state of Tennessee through the court system. You read their rulings. They're not based on facts. They're not even based on the law. They're based on what the governor tells the judiciary to do in the state of Tennessee. He promotes the judges. If they want to be promoted, want more money, they do what the promoter of the judges tells them to do, the governor. And the governor doesn't get elected based on popularity and the will of the mass populace of Tennesseans. He gets elected fraudulently based on getting a lot of money for messaging by corporations that are out to destroy you, imprison you, and kill you. CoreCivic is one of them. And a lot of corporations that have killed people that contribute to the governor's campaign. That's going on now. The governor's campaigns. You see the money involved in the messaging every day. If you're in Tennessee or you're driving through, sitting in a hotel room and watching your TV, bombarded with messaging, with propaganda that's false from the political candidates. Who's paying for that? The corporations that kill you are. They're putting somebody in power that will listen to them. And the person in power that listens to them puts judges in office that adjudicate for them, not facts and law. I have a doctorate of jurisprudence. You can take my doctorate of jurisprudence degree and go throw it in the river. It is meaningless. They don't follow the law. They make up facts that don't even exist and write it into law. You can't appeal facts because the judges decided that at the trial court level, decided that false facts are true. And you can't appeal facts as easily, and it's pretty much impossible after the judge has adjudicated something as fact. You can appeal that he misapplied the law or a lot of other issues, but you can't successfully usually argue the facts in the case that the trial judge decided, who's appointed by the governor, who makes up facts that don't exist, who lies for the governor, and then it's much easier to get a case on appeal. And the governor is put in power by rogue corporations that kill you. One of them in Bucksnort, Tennessee, killed about 16 just the other day. That corporation contributed to Governor Bill Lee's campaign. 16 people killed. And he bypassed safety regulations and gave them whatever they wanted, gave them expensive contracts to build up their pot of gold at the end of their rainbow. That's an explosion if you go to work for those people and try to earn a living. So the government's corrupt people in government power. The system is wrong. It's full of propaganda. We need to, should, have to, for our own safety, protection, and well-being, go to political war against our government, specifically in the state of Tennessee, and both parties are involved in the cover-up. You vote for a Democrat Party candidate, Miss Green, you're going to get the same thing. These people are acting like they're outsiders when the top candidates are all sponsored, approved by either the Democrat Party or the Republican Party. They're all candidate approved by inside, that's bought and paid for by corporations, by a governor that's going to be substantially against you, not on your side. And you don't get to decide policy in the state of Tennessee. There's a study that showed that. I'm going to point it out to you. You don't decide what goes on in your state. You don't decide what you want in the state of Tennessee. These corporations, through the governor, through his hand-picked, hand-appointed line judges, decide policy in the state of Tennessee, even though the overwhelming majority of Tennesseans disagree with the laws and rules and regulations that are passed by the governor, for the governor and his entourage, his particular voters that get benefited, and or corporations. That's what you get in the state of Tennessee. And I am a social scientist. Even their own acknowledgement in their University of Tennessee says that I have a higher understanding of how social forces work. And I'm telling you how they work right now in the state of Tennessee. They are working against you, and they're not for your good. And they will destroy you in this country and this state, and it affects America. If you're not in Tennessee, you are still affected by the rogue policies and the rogue government in the state of Tennessee. Now, I'm not telling you to come here and do anything violent. They will come to your state, the government, people in government power, and do stuff violent to you. Now, that's the truth. People don't like to say that. They don't like to hear that, but that's the truth. There is something you can do about it. If you're out of state, call people in Tennessee. Tell them to get up and go vote. And if you're not going to vote for me, hey, fine, I understand. My chances of winning are pretty slim. I got it. I would ask you to. That's your best bet. But our best bet is getting political clout to make it more difficult for these people to put out their false propaganda. They're putting false propaganda about me every day, all day long. Why are they fighting me so hard? Because I'm fighting back. And I'm going to continue to fight back. That's the best way. Now, they'll try to intimidate you and say, well, just go along and everything will be fine. No, it won't. It'll be worse. Your only chance is to fight back. Fight back. There were a couple of husband and wife robbers back a few years ago. I watched it on an FBI show. And they were abducting people, taking their cars, taking them out to a isolated place, stealing everything they had, and asking them to, at gunpoint, and asking them to get down on the knees in execution position, and all of them did. And they'd shoot them in the head dead. And the police started finding these bodies out in these rural areas, and they didn't know who was behind it and couldn't find them. They were killing the victim, no witness. And this one African-American lady, who was maybe a lot like Rosa Parks in a different way. She's been legal, but they abducted her, stole her car, drove her out to a rural area, and stole her stuff. And she was going to let them have her stuff, let them have her car, and was not attacking or violent to them, hoping that the situation would go away after they got everything, they'd leave. But then they told her to get on her knees, and she knew what was going to go down. She knew what was going to happen, and she's the only one that refused to get down on their knees and take it. A lot of people thought, hey, you go along to get along and get down on your knees, and when you open your eyes, they'll be gone, everything will be fine. And when you got down on the knees and obeyed them, they shot you in the head dead to get rid of witnesses. To get rid of witnesses. And people could look and identify them. What part of after they were gone, when they got police there, would they not be identified? So catch a clue, public. What part of going along do you not understand? When they need to demoralize you, they will. Even if you're going along, it doesn't work against these people. Their conscience is seared. They believe that they are right. They believe that you owe them. These people in government power believe you owe them. Now, they don't say that, but their actions give them away. Look what they take off people. So they believe sincerely that they have a right to take everything you got, and their conscience is seared. They don't care. And if they need to wipe you off the planet in order to get away and maintain power, maintain your money and your riches, then that's exactly what they will do. All across America, from the worst state in the nation, according to a credible news article just the other day, is the state of Tennessee. So I'm not just talking about things that's in my own little world. A lot of people say these things, they just don't put it in the public eye and bring attention to it as much as I do, because the little dribble of information that you get out is vitally important. Listen to the negative against the government. It's the truth. It barely gets out of the dribble. Now I'm putting a fire hose to it because you need to know this, because it's destroying you. So that lady refused to get down on her knees. Now, she let them have her money, let them have her car, but she wasn't going to give up her life. And she knew, had a feeling. She knew who they were. She's seen them. She could identify them. She knew she got down on her knees in execution style, closed her eyes, they were going to kill her. She refused to do it. Refused. Now, they shot her anyway. But since she wasn't in the execution style position, they had to shoot her in a standing position, and it wasn't fatal. So her resistance, although still damaging to her, wasn't fatal to her. She crawled away. I think she said she couldn't even see, crawling away. After they left, she played dead, crawling away. Eventually crawled to a road, summoned police, and was able to later identify them, and they were convicted, and she didn't die because she refused to go along with people that were going to kill her, that were going to annihilate her, that were just in it for her goods. And I'm not saying the government is going to rob your stuff, steal your car, and drag you out to an isolated area per se exactly like that, but in roundabout ways, every day in every way, they do exactly that. And it's worse than what those people did. Those people weren't part of the government. They were rogue robbers and individuals. When you're talking about the government, these are people that are supposed to be our lifeline, that are part of the demise because they have sworn to uphold the oath to obey the Constitution, and they do not. So they're literally, in a lot of ways, worse than your rogue criminal that takes you at gunpoint in your car, hijacks you in your car, takes you out at gunpoint, sticks a gun in your face, takes all that you have, and all your money, and you see them, they're not even wearing a mask, and tells you to get down on your knees and close your eyes. Literally in another way, but symbolically the same way. And that's what the government's telling you to do now. It'll be okay, just do what we say. And I'm here to tell you, not in that exact same way, but in a lot of ways they do the same damn thing to you. They're going to execute you, and they do literally execute people wrongly in America, in the state of Tennessee. And they punish victims, families of crime, and victims of crime. Because if you get murdered in the state of Tennessee, horrifically murdered, maybe you and your girlfriend or boyfriend, if you're young, at the University of Tennessee, I'll tell you what will happen to you. Let me tell you what will happen to you. You get murdered, and it's happened several occasions, not just one time. So this is a phenomenon. You can see this is the tracks that they will follow in the state of Tennessee, in the government in Tennessee. If you get murdered, and they're the lifeline, they're supposed to protect you, by a rogue thug, somebody that hates you, maybe for your skin color, maybe because you're a Christian, maybe because you're handing out tracts. If you get murdered by somebody in a brutal, horrific, sick manner where you suffer as you die beyond imagination, I mean, it is grotesque, and you are in severe pain. Imagine times in your life when you've had severe pain. And imagine it's not natural causes, it's some brutal, sick psychopath or somebody that thinks they have the right that don't, that's putting you through this brutal suffering. Somebody angry as hell that's causing you on your way to death violent pain. Remember that pain? Well, think of this, and I'm telling you this, I'm rallying the troops because I'm trying to tell you this so that you understand your people in government power are doing this to you in a symbolic, similar way, because they're the lifeline supposed to protect you from that. This is one of the most dangerous states in the United States of America. According to that news article, the worst state in the United States. So I'm just echoing the truth that other people are saying. I'm not out here on a limb by myself. I'm just blowing you up and telling you the effect of it. And please listen, not for me, for you. Because they've tried to do it to me. Tried to assassinate me while I was out serving you. And it happened, it literally did. And they make good people evil, and the evil people right now are in government power, holding a Christian banner. And I am Christian. There's nothing wrong with the Christian banner. They perverted it, used it to lie to you to get your power, run for government office saying they're Christian when I don't know their heart. I know their conscience must be seared because of the evil, wicked, adulterous acts that they do against the public. Not in their family that I know of, some of them do, but in promising to serve the state and then they don't. That's a form of adultery against your sworn oath. And they lie to you. And they cheat, rob, and steal. And as that black African-American lady wonderfully resisted for them to take her life, she wasn't stupid. Don't be stupid. Going along will no longer work. It might have in the past, it won't in the future. And I'm not saying don't go along violently. I'm saying when they try to get you in a place to annihilate you, don't go to that place. And they're trying to tell you right now who to vote for, and don't vote for them. I'll suggest who to vote for, and we do have some wins. We're trying to put political pressure on these people. That's all. I'm not a violent person. I am a truthful person that is in politics. Politics is civilized warfare. Being a lawyer, which they won't let me be, they wish they had, they got rules of professional conduct that they violate every day, and they hold outsiders to a different level. But they're going to wish that had me under those rules of professional responsibility, because I'm not under those rules. And the rules are bad. They say you can't run down the judiciary. Why the hell not? Why the hell not? But the judiciary can run you down. But I don't make a living off those rules. They won't let me. So I can run down the dirty, crooked Tennessee judiciary in the state of Tennessee. It's crooked as hell. Right now we have Judge Don Ass right here in Knox County, a special judge. They're special because they do what the Supreme Court tells them to do, because they worship the Supreme Court, so they know they're going to do what they tell them to do. Because I had him in my law school. He was a professor over civil procedure when I was in the class. One of the most arrogant professors that we had, because he had power. And he preached a message, not a Christian message or a gospel message. They think it's the gospel. They think the judiciary is God. So they preach their godship. And he preached a message of godship of the judiciary in the state of Tennessee. He said that the other government bodies were attacking the judiciary and preaching the sovereignty of the great gods of the judiciary. The judiciary is subject to the mass populace of the state of Tennessee, or is it? It needs to be, and that's what I'm trying to make it. Subject to the popular vote. Now, they already get a free ride, because when they run for public office, when they run for judgeship, they don't have somebody else running against them. They run against the non-opponent. They run to retain the seat that's already been handed to them in a retention election. So they don't have the other side out there saying this judge is a dirty creep. He shouldn't be on the bench. He'll rule for the governor that appointed him there. So after he's already in there, he's got the government loudspeaker that says he's great when he's not. Now, Judge Don Ass complained about how other agencies in the government were going after the judiciary. No, they weren't. And if they were, they have a right to. The judiciary has extreme power in the state of Tennessee. We had the Tennessee Supreme Court come to Nashville School of Law to do a hearing so that students could listen to them in the mock courtroom, but they were having a real case about a drunk driver. A man that's trying to get out of a drunk driving charge was up before the Tennessee Supreme Court. They issued cert. And Judge Don Ass, although he complained in class about how difficult it was for him to be able to keep up with teaching, what a great volunteer he was while he got paid, to be able to keep up with teaching and also keep up his judiciary function, his godship function, that he was doing us a great service, bragged about how highly intelligent he was, and criticized people in the class that had alternative views to their face, students. Not about the law, like you hear in the paper trail, about people that didn't worship the godship, the judiciary. I know these judges. I've met them close up and personal. They're sincerely wrong. They believe that they got a right to rule over everything, and you owe them everything you got. They're gods. I mean, after all, every time you go in a courtroom, people stand up people stand up and honor the judiciary. So it makes them start thinking, hey, we're the greatest people on the planet. We're gods. But they're not. They're not. They're not even good people. And they worship themselves, and they think they're God. So Judge Don Ash, although he complained about having to do all this work that he's getting paid for, they had that hearing with the Tennessee Supreme Court that appoints him a special judge. Do you think that he stayed over late? If they were going to come in this case, they had a hearing on his day off. He came in on his off time at the front door. There we go. Got some fans here. He came in on his off time at the front door. So yeah, thank y'all. I appreciate that. He came in on his off time at the front doors of the law school in the lobby where the judiciary came in, highly protected, and made sure that they seen that he was there worshiping them on his off time, even though he had a full plate according to him, because he's playing up to the Tennessee Supreme Court and worshiping the gods in the judiciary and power. And that's how they do. And the governor's the one that gives them the jobs. The new Supreme Court justice that Governor Bill Lee appointed here from Knoxville. I've met him. I'm not impressed. The Knoxville DA's office, while he was at the DA's office, the roads were blood red in Knox County, Tennessee, where people were killed because they released drunk drivers that were dangerous. Not one had one or two drinks, not one that had zero in their system like they are now. People that were so dangerous that I was fortunate enough and talented enough to save a lot of them from themselves and save them from killing you. But they released hundreds of them and blamed it on me while I was still going to court. He was in the district attorney's office here in Knoxville when they released all those people. He went along with the program then. What makes you think when he's the Supreme Court justice, he's not going to go along with the gods, even though it gets Tennesseans killed? But the governor says he's a great man. While he was in the Attorney General's office in Knox County, Tennessee, he even endangered his stupid self by not standing up against criminal activity in the Attorney General's office here in Knoxville, Knox County. And he is a Supreme Court injustice. So imagine that. Imagine that. So like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Help me get this messaging out. This is a war of messaging. And one of our avenues, and this is not our main avenue. We got another one, other ones, but help me get the message out by sharing, liking, commenting, and build up views on the show. We've had as many as 100,000 views on this show. And it gives us political clout to make it more difficult for them to mistreat us. And they do. And the system is like this. And that's the reason why they invest in so much messaging in themselves. They invest in messaging through false court rulings. Read some of their court rulings, their opinions, and see if they jive up with what you think normally happens. Their facts. They're all messed up. They put facts in there that don't exist in order to write a ruling for the governor. See if the facts make sense. Well, that fact don't make sense. That usually don't happen in the normal course of things. It's a planted fact by a Tennessee crooked judge. They do it all the time. They've gotten blatant in doing that, and bold in doing that. They don't even think twice about doing that anymore. And the system works for them because of the fact that they cannot arrest everybody. They cannot incarcerate everybody. They can't beat on everybody. They can't adjudicate falsely against everybody and take everybody's rights away all at the same time. There will be an uprising like you've never seen. So the system is set up, and they do a lot, where they have to have, and this is taught in the academy, I was in their academy, they have to have a certain amount of voluntary cooperation. And that's what they tell you at the academy. The goal of law enforcement is voluntary cooperation in their rogue laws that benefit them. They don't tell you that part. But they want enough of the populace to go along with the corruption. Voluntary cooperation. Because of the fact that they know, that's why they hate me, they cannot mistreat everybody, although they do to a certain level, just not right up close and personal. And they have to have a certain amount of people that are going along, that are voluntary, getting on their knees in the execution position, or that are voluntary cooperating with their rogue power and put out propaganda to sell you lies to get you to go along, to try to convince you that these are nice, peaceful people that obey the Constitution, obey the law, when they don't. Substantially, they don't. I've met them, I know them. They don't obey the law. They obey whatever benefits them, their family, and keeps them in power. They're crooked as hell. But they know that if there's enough people that see the wrong that they're doing, just see the facts and the truth, enough people to tip the scales, then Houston, we got a problem. We got Charles Van Morgan out there telling people to go to political war against us and put out the truth against us. He's not preaching violence. He's not preaching at all. He's not a preacher. He's a political person that has some scars. He's a fighter that's telling people that our government is not legitimate, that it doesn't uphold the rule of law, that it holds the rule of y'all, and it's not you all, mass populous Tennesseans, it's them, y'all, the people in government power. And they know that if there's an uprising, enough people that see the truth, that they don't have voluntary cooperation, that people go against who they tell you to vote for in both parties, if they have a significant major uprising, that there's not voluntary cooperation with unlawful government power, then they get kicked out of office and some of them go to jail. So one of the major functions of this show is to put out unbridled news of the truth and to show you that the government acts unlawfully against you all across the state of Tennessee, all across America. If you don't live in Tennessee, you say, well, I'm safe. I don't live in the worst state in America. You're still subject to a long-arm statute where they can reach across state lines and grab you and bring you into Tennessee, although you've never been in Tennessee, and charge you with a crime, even a capital crime, that occurred in Tennessee when you never stepped foot in Tennessee. So they charge you with a crime that occurred in Tennessee that you couldn't have committed, you never been here. Reach across state lines and drag you in here and put you on death row. They have done that in the past. So if you live in another state, you think you're free and clear of Tennessee, think again. Get on your phone, call Tennesseans. It's a rogue government. You also, if you don't live in Tennessee, call people in Tennessee. Tell them to vote. Don't tell them to be violent. I don't believe in that stuff. I'm not part of that stuff. There's enough of us to win without violence, without corruption from us, plenty of us to win. So let's see how many people got in here, like, share, comment. So we got a few. YouTube is staffing, is trying to keep down my views. So share the channel. And sometimes it don't show as many as we have. So like and share, comment. So we'll get across here. So your government's crooked as hell. If you live in another state, you're still subject to the state of Tennessee reaching across state lines, charging you with a crime, putting you in death row, although you've never been here. They've done that before. Call Tennesseans. You're still paying these dirty judiciary your tax money. You're funding this crooked system in the state of Tennessee. So your tax money is going to dirty Tennessee judiciary. That happens in a lot of ways. One specific way is the federal student loan program, which is backed, subsidized, guaranteed by your tax dollars. If students can't pay back the money because after they get educated the government won't give them the job, then what happens is you pay it back for the student, because these unjust judges retire from high-paid salaries and then they get on the Board of Law Examiners, get paid your tax money, federal student loan money, and deny licenses. So the student that's paid them to get educated can't practice law. These judges get paid federal student loan money through the deans. They get on as deans of colleges, law schools, after they've gotten off the bench, and collect, some of them $500,000, $500,000 a year as law school deans. That salary is paid by student loan money. So they take money while they're educating them, and it's taking your money too. It's your tax money that subsidizes and guarantees the student loan money. So they take money while the student's paying into the system. And it's not all the students' money, it's your money in Florida, New York, that they make fun of you in New York, while Tennessee is stealing your money. They're making fun of you, saying you're socialist, while Tennessee's the most socialist state in the United States of America. The judiciary is socialist. They think you owe them everything. Well, you don't. You don't. They're owed to be asked to stand up on the bench. You pull up their damn dirty black robe and you put them in handcuffs and haul them off to the penitentiary for defrauding Tennesseans and defying their oath to the Constitution. That's what a lot of them are owed. So as you look at the beautiful view, and so here in Knoxville, Tennessee, and the crooked judiciary. And then if you're in another state, you're paying taxes. Your taxes go to subsidize the federal student loan program. So you're subject to be arrested by Tennessee authorities, even if you've never been to Tennessee. They'll reach across state lines and drag you down here and put you on death row. They've done that before. Somebody that never put foot in Tennessee, except for when he was standing trial for a capital murder in Tennessee, according to 30 witnesses, that a lot of them they didn't even allow in the courtroom. So you'll be subject to Tennessee's road courtroom, and you'll be paying these judges to convict you, to help convict you of a crime. That's just the truth about it, how they operate. Now, they have a semblance of we're just judges, but I'm telling you, no, they're not. No, they are not. I've got a right to say that. I'm bringing evidence to point that out, exactly how these fraudsters are defrauding you and defrauding justice. They've got a right to say that they're not unjust. They can say, I wasn't the dean of law school that got $500,000 a year. Several of them deans that are getting student loan money. And then the schools that you pay buku amounts of money to won't even write the board of law examiners and say, this was a good student. He paid us. He was good and faithful. He passed tests. He went to class. He was above and better. They will try to demoralize you after they've gotten rich off your money and people's money all across the state of Tennessee. This law school right down here, Duncan School of Lies, of Law, and one professor tried to dissuade people from telling the truth about Duncan School of Lies by saying a corporation or a business can sue you for defamation. Don't say anything against us. You know, the Heil Hitler thing. We will annihilate you too. We will sue you for defamation if you tell the truth against us. And we're going to talk about the price of keeping your mouth shut too. It doesn't pay either. So they know. The Duncan School of Law, who is run by a previous retiree of the Tennessee Supreme Court, whom I paid $30,000 to, and he got fired off my money. I was wonderful then. I was paying them money. I was a credible enough person to go to law school. But when it comes to me practicing law, I go right down here to the law school, face them publicly, not violently, publicly, and ask them for a reference to get my law license after I've shown I can hang in law school. I can pass tests. I even passed the illustrious bar exam twice. And they agreed to my face that they will give me a reference to go to law school. They've gotten rich off me. They've gotten rich off you. Federal student loan money. And they also tell me to my face for my email address, saying that they will email me what they mail the Board of Law Examiners. So they're agreeing to give me what they say to people who are going to adjudicate whether or not I get my law license. Took my email address. I never got the email. What did they say? I don't know. They told me that they would tell me. Send me an email of the reference. So they lied about that because they lied in the reference. I don't even know what the reference says. And these are people, that's your money out of state. My federal student loan money, and I'm not in default, is guaranteed by you in California. If they make fun of, don't bring your California to Tennessee. How about Tennessee? Quit ripping off Californians. You don't hear that side because that's not politically correct. Californians they're socialists and they're not good people and they have a lot of homeless. Tennessee judiciary is stealing their money. No wonder a lot of them are homeless out there. All their money's in the back pocket of the dirty retired judiciary. You don't hear that said. It's called the truth. It's called the truth. And I'm not afraid of Duncan School of Lies. The very man's name on the school, his own son, was a convicted felon. Now he's not anymore because he's rich. So he got put in jail and his record cleared. So I'm not recording it this way. So he got at least I got a smile today. So he got student loan money, and didn't earn it, and they lied to me. They give me a horrible reference, not because it's justified, because it's not, because they're keeping down competition. And your tax money in another state pays for it. wrongly. So, like, share, comment. Boy, we're low views today for some reason. Hey, Red. So, sometimes it's not showing the true number of views. Let's build the likes up. The likes will kick in the algorithm to spread the message. Sometimes it shows about 50 people in here. Sometimes it doesn't show the actual number of views because, but I can tell by likes and shares. So, we're here at our signature location. We're talking about just war against people in government power. That's why the cops exist. If you ever confront a policeman about the fraud, they comment they will have the police shoot you or put you in a cage. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. They sure as hell will. So, we didn't stand in front of the flag this morning because we didn't have to. Because I got a flag on my shirt. Got a flag on my shirt. So we didn't stand in front of the American flag starting off the show. Today's show is a just war against power. And that's what we're involved in. So, a lot of you let this animal pass. Ask Van, why call it a war? Here's why. Scripture doesn't just permit standing against injustice, it commands it. Justice executed is a joy to the righteous, but a terror to evildoers. Proverbs 21:15. This isn't a war of swords. Isaiah 2:4 says, nations will beat their swords into plowshares. My war is fight with facts, with records, with the ballot. But make no mistake, when power abuses the people, silence is not peace, it's surrender. This is just war against power, not a war on people, a war on the abuse of power, waged through justice, not violence. What this war actually is. Let me say this plain. This is a war on government, corrupt people holding government power. The governor, the colonel, the Tennessee Supreme Court, they're not looking away while somebody else breaks the law. They are the lawbreakers. They sign off on it, they order it, they cover it up, and they get rich doing it. A trooper having a bad day isn't a conspiracy. The people at the very top choosing on purpose to run it that way. That's the crime. A colonel testifies to the legislature and the record says he lied. A governor signs a feel-good resolution while the whole state ranks dead last for the people living in it. A court system uses a citizen's own protected speech to destroy him and calls it justice. That's not a mistake. That's the system working exactly like they built it to work. Cut off the head, expose the top. This is a peaceful war fought with facts, fought with your voice, fought with your vote, fought by getting the message out to every Tennessean who's tired of being lied to. No violence, no threats, just the truth said loud, spread far all across America and the world, and enough of us showing up on election day to end it. Follow the law, treat people fair. I'm with you. Corrupt the government, abuse your power. I'm coming for you, no exceptions, peacefully, politically, through messaging, through the ballot box. Corrupt the government and we're coming for you. Now you've heard on the news here recently that Mr. Trump has redeclared war on Iran, which is a good thing. He needs to try to negotiate with them. But that don't work. It hasn't worked. He's tried the peaceful means. But the peaceful means hasn't worked. And you can see in the news today and all across America, Trump's declared war. You can see 1 day ago, Trump formally informed Congress of Iran war resumption. 1 day ago, The Hill. So, we're at war with the government. Trump has redeclared war, formally informs Congress. Hello, Leon Medina, P3D. Hello. So we're at war against our government. And Trump's declared war against people in power. And just 1 day ago. And we're at war not against Trump. I think he's doing a good job. He's a man of peace, trying to seek peace. But he is informally told Congress, formally, that we're at war with Iran again. So, we're at war. Also in the state of Tennessee, U.S. Congressman Andy Ogles sparked a major controversy in December 2025 when he declared we're at war with judges. Tennessee following the release of a repeat offender accused of a brutal assault. So, implicitly, it's been declared by government officials we're at war. So let me explain this to you. Explicit command for citizens to allow the government to declare a just war. But it does establish, it's not implicit in the command for citizens to allow government to declare a just war, but it does establish the theological foundation for the state's right to use political forces to restrain evil. This concept is known as the just war theory, which is deeply rooted in biblical teachings. And even if you're not a Christian, our Constitution gives us the right. The primary biblical foundations for government authority to wage war and use force include divine ordination of government. So Romans 13:1-7 teaches that the government authorities are instituted by God to maintain order and punish evildoers, elected officials. But notes that the government does not bear the sword in vain, establishing the state's legitimate use of lethal force for justice. So we're not using lethal force, but we do have Representative Andy Ogles declaring that we're at war against the judiciary, and we can expand it on that. And we're not in actual literal war with violence. We're at war with them. He's pointing out that they are against us. They're trying to destroy us. And he's in political office, so on his authority, biblically, we have the right to wage political war at the least. So that's our biblical authority. Protection of them. Throughout the Old Testament, God authorized rulers to defend the oppressed and punished. So, we are in a just war, duly authorized by Representative Andy Ogles, who declared war on people in the government power. Now we are expanding that, and we're not in a violent war, we're in a political war against these people. So it's a different thing. And also, let me bring your attention. We got up to 90. Let's get over 100 views. War on babies. So, yeah, 138. I thought something was wrong. So like, share, and comment. It's not showing all our views. So we are at war against our government. They're at a violent war against us. They will kill us. They will mistreat us. They'll ask you to get down in the execution position. Don't get down in that position. We are at a political war with them. We don't need to be violent. Although we could in certain circumstances, we're not there. This is a time of war. The Bible says there's a time of war. This is that time that we need to go to war against our state. It's an election year where we're voting for the highest person in the office in the state of Tennessee. That's the worst state in the nation. Article 1, Declaration of Rights. And I'm talking about our right to wage war against the government. Political war, not violent war. Because I know law enforcement's listen to me. They look at my webpage. They look at my Facebook. They're keeping track of me, hoping that I say something that can be construed as violent so they can lock me up. What I'm telling you is they are violent. They are dangerous. Look at the numbers. 1,200 citizens killed by police a year. About 50 police killed a year. 50 to 70 killed violently. So look at the numbers. They're killing you violently. People ain't killing them violently for the most part. They're at violent war against us. We are at political war with them, which is civilized warfare. Civilized warfare. And I'm giving you our reasons under the law that we are justified and under God to go to war against these people. To go to political war against these people. Civilized warfare. And I know what I'm doing. Law school, they teach you that lawsuits and the legal realm is civilized warfare. A lawsuit is civilized warfare, where you don't shoot people. You use words and messaging to win hearts and minds over to the truth, hopefully. So I'm telling you our basis for doing what I'm doing, which is right. It is godly. It is approved as a Christian. It is approved under the laws of the state of Tennessee. What they're doing is against the law. They don't like me saying that. They belong in jail. A lot of Tennesseans ought to be out of jail. CoreCivic is supporting jailing you. They get more money paying the leading candidate in the state of Tennessee. So it is a justified war against people in government power in the state of Tennessee. It is a justified war today against the government in the state of Tennessee. We're waging war. Political war against Tennesseans. You want to join? Subscribe. We'll tell you how it's done. You know, the devil came down to Georgetown looking for Tennessee to steal. We're telling him to sit right in that chair right there and we'll show you how this is done. More powerful than us, but we're better and there's more of us. So devil in the state of Tennessee, people in government power, sit down in that chair right there and we'll show you how it's done. So, political warfare. Explaining our justification for this war. It's a messaging war. We're right, they're wrong. Just told you, Trump has declared war on Iran. It's a time of war. We notified Congress formally we're at war with Iran. He's allowed to do that without a declaration from Congress declaring war. And Andy Ogles, November of last year, declared war against people in government power in the state of Tennessee, specifically the judiciary, but we're expanding that. So the Bible says that government authorities voted people declare war. Well, he did. Andy Ogles did. So we're going on that authority, and also the authority to declare war, and this is just political war, a war of attrition and messaging, not violence or bullets. Article 1, Declaration of Rights, our Constitution of the State of Tennessee, that all power is inherent in the people. It's not inherent in the people in government power. In you, it's in you. There's more of us, and all free governments are founded on their authority. So if it's not founded on our authority, then it's not a free government, is it? And I'm about to show you it's not founded on your authority right now. And insulated for their peace, safety, and happiness, for the advancement of those ends, they have at all times an unalienable and indefensible right to alter, reform, or abolish the government in such manner as they think proper. So we have the authority under our Constitution, legally, legitimately, if they don't serve us, which they are not now, and I'll show you the proof, to unalienable means that it can never be broke off, indefeasible, there's no end to our right to alter, reform, or abolish the government in such a manner as we think proper. So in Tennessee, if we think the government needs to be altered, reformed, or abolished, start over from scratch, we the people have the right to do that. They don't want you to know that. That's Article 1, Declaration of Rights. Section 2. This is the law. They don't like to read this. They like to read you lies. And I'll tell you their lies. The government being instituted for the common benefit, the doctrine of non-resistance against arbitrary power and oppression is absurd, slavish, destructive of the good and happiness of mankind. Section 3, that all men have a natural and indefeasible right to worship Almighty God. Now, they don't want us to do that. So this, our Constitution is saying, don't get in the execution position. That's absurd. That black lady that was robbed, taken at gunpoint, abducted, didn't get down to execution position. She's the only one that survived and gave testimony that helped convict the murderers. So, Section 2, that government being instituted for the common benefit. That's what it's for. It's not for the common benefit. Now, I'm about to show you that. The doctrine of non-resistance, meaning to not resist against this is absurd. To not resist arbitrary power is absurd. We should resist. Our own Constitution tells us to resist this. It's slavish and destructive of the good and happiness of mankind. So if you go along, you're destroying Tennessee for your children. So that's our legal authority. Just war against power in the state of Tennessee. That's our legal authority. We're gonna get into it. And that's what they're trying to do to us today, is run the government however they say fit. So, who's tired of the threats and the violence against us? What we're doing is cutting off the head. A trooper having a bad day isn't a conspiracy. The people at the top choosing on purpose to run it that way, that's the crime. A colonel testifies to the legislature, the record says he lied. A governor signs a feel-good resolution while the whole state ranks dead last for people living in it. Not just according to me, according to a major news article that's leaking out the truth. A court system uses a citizen's own protected speech to destroy him and calls it justice. That's not a mistake. That's the system working exactly like it's built to work for them, not for the mass populace of Tennesseans, that gives us the right to resist and says that it's absurd not to. So we're cutting off the head, exposing the top, and I mean that with a ballot, not a bullet. That's a peaceful war fought with facts, fought with your voice, fought with your vote, fought by getting the message out to every Tennessean, to every American, and worldwide. What the hell's going on in the state of Tennessee? This is ground zero of the new day and age, the golden age that Trump talked about. Starts ground zero here in the state of Tennessee, fighting domestic enemies that have infiltrated our government and are rogue as hell and are fighting us. And I just gave you the authority that we've got to do this. And we're going to do it whether they like it or not. So, who's tired of being lied to? No violence, no threats, just the truth. Said loud, spread far, U.S. worldwide, and enough of us showing up on election day to end it. Follow the law. treat people fair. I'm with you. Corrupt the government, abuse, corrupt the government, abuse your power. I'm coming for you. No exceptions, peacefully, politically, through messaging, through the ballot box. Now here's how they're mistreating you. Here's the thesis. They're not serving the mass populace of Tennessee. 1,779 policies. 1,779 policies. The government enacting an agenda. 1,779 times an agenda. 2 decades studied by Princeton and Northwestern. The findings, average citizens, me, you, the mass populace of Tennesseans, had almost zero independent power of what became law. So we don't have any say in what becomes law in our government. The only way you have a say is if you agree with the people in power. Then you think that you're the one that made the difference. When even if you voted against it, didn't want that, stood against it, they would have still got their way. So it was just appeared like you got your way. The findings, get this again, average citizens had almost zero independent power of what became law. Of those 179 policies, 1,779 policies, you had zero effect substantially on what the government chose to do. The finding, average citizen had almost zero independent power of what became law. Organized money did. The public isn't powerless, then organized public is powerless. That's the whole game. And voters of truth and rage is how we break it. And they put out messaging. They're voters of lies. They're politicians of lies. The Academy. I put out a survey to Tennesseans. Answers came back describing something I didn't know in my anonymous survey. If you got information about the government, let me know. Fill out my anonymous survey. Some did. Some filled it out. A THP Citizens Academy class watched a video about me. And the instructor told the room I was a sick individual that needs help. So they're putting that out. Tax paid while I'm running for public office. Violating laws against government campaigning against candidates. A verdict, not a fact check, handed to taxpayers in a state-run classroom. Some of those same people checked the record themselves and landed somewhere else. And today, right now, Channel 10, free airtime, is running airtime for advertising for the next Citizens Academy class where they can put out their messaging. That's false against me because I'm standing up for you. Free press for the state. Free press silence for the challengers. Doc was by here shaking his head. Oh, I'm so offended, I'm leaving. Free press for the state. Silence for the challenger. We'll see if that changes. So, they're advertising against me in their state-run Citizens Academy, putting out propaganda against me. Falsely. Using me as an example of a bad trooper. I mean, the sole thing they argue, even if true, which it is not, is that I didn't see a wreck off the side of the road in the middle of the dark. Wow. And even Bill Gibbons says, well, even if he didn't see it, we'll fire him because he should have, which a scientist, their own scientists, have said that's scientifically impossible for him to see it and identify it as a wreck at that time. So that's not even true. But even given that, they're classifying a bad trooper as one that, at the very most, should have seen a car off the side of the road in the middle of the night in a high-speed pursuit. And that is their classification of the worst trooper in the state that we can advertise that we get rid of bad troopers. When they have had troopers on the job that have raped women. But they don't bring that up as how they handle a bad trooper. They bring up that they classify a bad trooper that missed a car in the middle of the night, that he should have seen that. Although science, and even from the University of Tennessee, say you couldn't have seen it. There's not enough time. A high-speed pursuit, it's off the road in the dark. But that's their example. That's not an example of bad trooper. That is propaganda against me for fighting them. Well, it's not working. It's not working, Lowell. You dirty liar. You dirty creep. You stepped on some stuff. You don't know what you're doing. So they won't give me the same press to call their academy a propaganda machine that puts out lies. That machine, Citizens Academy, is going to tell you everything that the state, the governor, is doing good for you. You look out on the roads full of blood all over the state. The fatality rate has skyrocketed. More dead people, you and your families and visitors to the state of Tennessee, dead because of the Tennessee corrupt highway patrol and putting out propaganda against the best trooper in the state from their own words. I got 5s on the valuations. They're liars put out by expert propagandists. One of the people that put out false stuff about me is Major Stacy Heatherly. What a lying creep. She was the spokesperson to the news media that I complained about, justifiable. Media release. Tennessee Department of Public Safety. Stacy Heatherly had direct contact with the media. One of very few who knew about direct, most likely violated THP policy surreptitiously, stealing pursuit tape and giving it to the media. She was the contact person for the media. Not for the truth, for a propaganda war against me. She thought I'd die and go away. She got some bad data. She didn't know that I fought for Tennesseans on the road against her, dumbass, still in valor. And her husband is still in the critical incident response team to this day. These liars get to decide who's at fault in Iraq, even in other agencies all across the state of Tennessee. The same people that came and lied in police reports in the pursuit that I was in, where a dangerous person killed himself, fortunately not anybody else. The CIRT team, Critical Incident Response Team, which is a critical incident rigging team. Her husband that lies about stuff she does, her husband is in the CIRT team that figures out who's involved in a wreck. You think if one of these politicians, drunk, hits you, they're going to come to the scene and decide that you're drunk when you're stone cold sober, and the politician that hit you drunk is going to get money off you, even though he's the one that hit you. And that's what they do. And then they put out messaging that the worst trooper in the state, which is really the best trooper in the state at the time, that saved more lives than anybody, look at the numbers, and they caused the fatality rate to skyrocket. These are people that are driving down the road, arresting you sober, that are going to decide whether you're at fault in Iraq or not. Now, they won't tell you at their academy they're running down people that are standing up against them. I'm not paid by the government to do this. They're in government power lying about me, using an example of the worst trooper in the state, where at best, which is not true, that they didn't see a car off the road, and they should have. And that's the best they got. They got troopers that have committed horrific acts of injustice, and they've terminated them because they had to. And they're not using them as an example. The troopers that have raped women, that ought to be their example, but they use me. Why is that? That is a directed, concerted effort to demoralize and discredit somebody, falsely discredit me, because I am truthfully discrediting them, because they can't run the government if they have enough dissent, people that see the truth, and they have to have a certain amount of people to voluntarily cooperate with their public corruption. I'm asking you, don't do that. They know that. That's why they're trying to run me down. They haven't got it done yet. So I put out a survey. Answers came back describing something I didn't know. A THP Citizens Academy class called me a sick individual in uniform while I was on the governor's ballot. And today, right now, Channel 10's advertising another THP Citizens Academy class. You can sign up to go to THP Citizens Academy class while they're getting paid by your tax dollars, so they can put you in a classroom and tell you how great they are, what a fine job they're doing, what wonderful things the Department of Safety, Tennessee Highway Patrol does to provide for your safety. They're getting paid by you to lie to you and run down somebody that has paperwork that says I was the greatest thing in the world. While I was there until I complained about their danger to your safety. Propaganda. We're at war against some people. Pointing out the truth about Tennessee Highway Patrol. They're dangerous to you. Very dangerous liars. Destructive you. You see that stripe down the side that says State Trooper? Got the government plate on the back with a number. Be very careful around those people. They will kill you. They will put you in jail when you didn't even commit a crime. They're dangerous to you. They're dangerous to your safety, health, protection, and well-being. They're not good. I'm not a sick individual. They are. Look at the fatality rate. The number of dead people since they lied about me has skyrocketed. So we're talking about dead people, your family, your friends. And the governor, right after he fired me wrongfully, puts out a commercial that seatbelt use, a lack of seatbelt use is causing all the fatalities. Excuse me, line Bill has been. Seatbelt use, while it can cause your own death, does not kill other people. It's drunk driving and driving under the influence at a significant level that kills other people. It's not seatbelt use. He literally put out a commercial saying lack of seatbelt use kills people. It can kill you in some cases. A seatbelt can get you killed. They carry a knife around to say if somebody in a wreck has a wreck, that the knife, if you accuse them of carrying a knife to stab you, is for cutting off seatbelts to save lives. No, it's not. The knife that a lot of officers carry around is to stab you in the gut and take your life from you. Specifically, they'd like to stab me. So, and today, right now, Channel 10's running a free news advertising, join the Citizens Police Academy, Trooper Academy, where you can sit and listen to their lies. Tell you how wonderful they are. They're not wonderful, they're dangerous. The Knoxville District has arrested more people than any other county in the state falsely. That's that we know of. The Knoxville captain was involved in shooting from a moving vehicle at a moving vehicle against the general order and the law. You don't know where your bullet might end up. He doesn't care about your safety. He stands over there on the sidelines guarding the coach. Don't approach him. I'm just saying. And the football team's not going to win under that kind of influence. He's sitting there right with the players. They learn you to win by being rogue and dirty and practicing and being the best at what you do, like me, won't get you anywhere. That's what they're teaching them. That's why they can't beat other football teams, and they get clobbered by teams that teach people stay off drugs, stay sober, practice during the off time, lift weights, fight, practice, practice, practice. Perfect practice makes perfect performance. We don't care who you are. We care if you can get across the goal line in the end zone under a fair, squared off play. But they're not putting people on the field like that. They're following the THPP. The uniform problem. Troopers took shots at me on state time, some in uniform. Not one holds a JD. Not one holds an AM in criminology. It'd be good if they did. Not one holds a BS in human resources. I hold all three. Not one holds emergency management training. They hold a degree in symbolically and got promoted based on lies. And there's foreigners in that department. I hold all three plus 18 years of commissioned successful law enforcement service, keeping the fatality rate down. If you're going to judge my fitness for office, bring your own damn qualifications, corrupt, dirty, stupid Colonel Matt Daddy's boy Perry, and your entourage that puts out lies against me. I'm not a toy, boy. Your highway patrol is crumbling under your feet. Your ass ought to be behind bars, telling people they don't have constitutional rights in a tweet that we're going to jail anyway. You try to hurt me seriously or one of your troopers with serious bodily injury or death, and I won't get on my knees. I'll defend my life. You got that, boy? This is not a toy. You thug, you're in over your head. Your aunt can't save you from this. I didn't leave the highway patrol in life-saving because I'm a pushover, boy. You're coming down justifiably, legally, through messaging. Now, you got your paid messengers. I got a message for you on this channel. We're on the hunt. We're not running from you. We're hunting for you with the damn truth. Didn't even get sprayed with freeze plus please. Bring your own qualifications. They have none. The core machine. Golf tournaments. Core Civic. Golf tournaments. Marching bands. Bettered public good. That's what they're saying. Meanwhile, the same company writes checks to Lee. This is the company that incarcerates you. Golf tournaments. Out in charity. Writing checks to Blackburn, McNally, Sexton. You don't sponsor a charity event to hide bad news. You sponsor it so the bad news never becomes the headline. Worst state in America. CNBC just ranked Tennessee dead last in the country for quality of life. I echo that. Congratulations, CNBC, you got it right. They are highest violent crime rate. They're the highest violent crime rate. Best paid police officers that spend their time calling political candidates, saying they're sick and need help, instead of fighting crime. I'm not dangerous to anybody, violently or corruptly or illegally. I stand on the Constitution of the state of Tennessee. I stand on your record. You stand on dead bodies that fought to give me the right to say stuff against you. You sure say stuff up against me on company time. Why is that, America? Why is that, Tennessee? Why is that, worldwide? Because they're dirty, pathetic propagandists at war against their own citizens. And we got a right to fight them back, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Yeah, hello, Matt. You doing all right? I hope you're not. We're going to bring you to jail, hopefully. We're trying. I won't give up. Highest violent crime rate. Third highest drug death rate. And while that's happening, the governor signed a resolution for the Nuclear Family Month. Ninth best state to run a business. They say it's business friendly. It's way down on the list, ninth. Dead last for the people living in it. Good for business, substantial on the list. Dead last for the people that are supposed to be electing their government, but they're not. That's the whole story in one ranking. 637 million and a failed product that the government is spending. Lawmakers, and thank y'all for joining, over 100 people. Keep liking and sharing. Lawmakers gave a $356 million raise to a failing company that takes your tax money. Lawmakers gave $356 million raise to the company running the school voucher program. Nearly $637 million total. They're giving your tax money, not the students in a voucher given to a company running the program. Isn't that a little excessive? Nearly $637 million total. Same vendor has documented problems in 2 other states. Now I support the vouchers. Parents deserve a choice. But I don't support a middleman getting rich, skimming taxpayers, and that's what it's about. And shortcoming students. That money ought to be going to students. Fire the vendor, keep the program. Now the reason that I support the voucher program is because in public schools, they're failing. We have mass violence, and we mandate students go to school where they're going to school and getting killed. We ought to have mandated government protections of students. We're going to mandate students be there. We need to mandate this while the students are there that we fund their protection. And also, let them go wherever they want to go to get educated. We need to mandate education, not go to a particular hellhole, a shooting range, for a violent person, which is what we're doing in the state. We are mandating people go, our children go to be a target at a firing range for rogue people that mass shoot up schools. Mandate they be there for these crazy people in the state that's calling me a sick individual that needs help is the one putting these little children in these places. So I support the voucher program because we need to mandate they can go get educated wherever they want to and help pay for it, not put them in a school where they get shot up. And also, public schools are not allowed to be religious. And if you don't want to be religious, you have the choice to go to public school. So I'm not taking that out. You don't have to be religious. I would uphold your right to be non-religious and want an education without religion. You go for it. I don't agree with that. I agree with your right to have an education without religion, though. You don't agree with our right to educate our children in Christianity, though. That's the problem, and it's our children. We have a right to educate them in Christianity, and your public schools can't do that by law. They'd be violating that government can't be involved in religion. And they shouldn't be involved in telling people how to raise their children non-religious. So, while public schools can't have prayer or Bible reading, if you choose to send your child to a Christian school, they can read the Bible and they can teach your children about Jesus instead of sending them to a gauntlet. And you ought to have that right to send your children there. And if education is mandatory, it ought to be subsidized by vouchers so that people that want their children to learn Christian theology can learn it, can get a Christian education. So that's the reason why I support the vouchers. And I support funding public schools too. We can do both. But what they're doing is giving all the money to a third party that's sucking all the money dry. Which that was the show yesterday or Monday. Also, they're not firing the vendor. Republicans demanding answers. 8 Republican state senators, not me, not Democrats, Republicans, demanded an independent review of a failed execution before Tennessee tries another one. When the governor's own party has to publicly demand transparency, that tells you something. Transparency doesn't exist by default. This isn't partisanship, it's proof. And also, the bad thing about that, the Republicans coming forward because of the Crothers botched execution, saying that there's not transparency in the execution process, which is true. But they're also saying that they are concerned that the executions be completed without the person being executed suffering at all. Wow. Without almost no suffering. And you can't not almost normally have somebody not suffer when you're putting them to death. If they're not dying of old age or natural causes, putting someone to death is usually most likely going to be a painful experience. There's no way you're going to get out of that. And they're concerned about these horrific crimes and these sick, pathetic people, while they're calling me sick and pathetic. They're concerned about these murderers that they not suffer. Well, I'm not concerned about that much. And my concerns are going to halt executions now in the state of Tennessee at the expense of victims that don't get justice. Imagine being murdered horrifically by some of these sick people. Suffering. You ever been in pain? And imagine that it is inflicted by a sick, pathetic psychopath or someone just angry and is taking your life, beating your brains in or stabbing you to death horrifically. And you're bleeding and dying and begging for your life. Where people are curious. And begging for your life. And that person that's taking your life from you, just imagine this, and you know you're going to die, you're beyond help, you're hopeful, but they're taking your life from you, and you're suffering great pain that they're inflicting on you. It's not pleasant. The corrections officer was stabbed 8 times, and he's probably looked this murder in the eye. And Republicans that claim they're for the death penalty are not concerned about the amount of suffering that you went through, and you're being stabbed and you're thinking, well, the government that's for my safety will put these people to death. No, they won't. 30 years later, and you've got Republicans standing up for their peaceful, almost non-suffering death? Wow! So when you're being brutally murdered, imagine that position. These people stand up, and we don't want these murderers to suffer substantially. We're concerned about that. I'm not concerned about that at all. Death is a different thing, and I'll tell you how to do it. It's real simple. We'll make them suffer substantially. A firing line, several bullets, center mass. They get the first shot. They're not going to suffer pain, and they're going to go down. If they don't, pick them back up, tack them to a board, and refire till it's done. It'll work. 100% effective. You keep trying at the shooting range, it works. And that's what they're concerned about. That's your government. We're at war with these Republicans that don't want to execute people unless a review of the safety of the executed is suffering less, is performed, and we got death row cases lined up where people are saying, that lady in jail killed my daughter brutally, stabbed her, her blood all over the road, cut a piece of her skull out, and she's been on death row for 30 years up for execution. And the Republicans are worried about that woman that brutally stabbed somebody's daughter to death doesn't suffer, while the woman has had her daughter dead for years and is wanting execution and justice for her daughter. But the Republicans ain't concerned about that. The government doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve you. ICE. This country is decades overdue in enforcing its own laws. Casualties happen in any enforcement action against resistance. That's not murder, that's the cost of resisting. They want to make this a pie-in-the-sky world, a beautiful world. It's not. In the course of trying to make it better, violators can die. That's bad. It's not the worst thing in the world. This country is decades overdue in enforcing immigration laws. Casualties happen in any enforcement action against resistance. That's not murder, that's the cost of them resisting. They've embedded in this country, think they have a right. They do not. Comply, you get treated like a human being every time. That's the end of it. Treat them decent, feed them, take them across the border, ID them, never to return. If they fight and outcomes happen nobody wanted, but everybody should have seen coming. So we got to get rid of these people. But there's a propaganda war going on that's trying to get us to stop, and the government to stop from enforcing its own laws against these rogue people. We need liberal free zones. That's true. Like and share. Help this message get out. We do need liberal free zones. This is the greatest country in the world. It needs to be greater. It's not great in a lot of areas because of our government. Because of our government. So hang on. Got some more stuff. The propaganda war. Every war has propaganda. Every damn one of them. Messaging. Because if you get people to go along peacefully with your rogue agenda, then you don't have to kill them with a fight where you suffer casualties. You just kill them without them fight. Get in an execution position. You tell them that's the best position, we won't kill you, and they will. Every war has a propaganda war attached to it. People who never wanted these laws enforced will use every casualty as ammunition to shut the whole operation down. That's what they did to me. I see it for what it is. I'm not repeating the propaganda war against ICE agents that are enforcing the law. We had a huge protest here in Knoxville. No ICE. Don't want any immigration enforcement. Just let them come over, run over your whole government. They're embedded now. It's going to be very difficult war on the streets to get rid of these people. It's a war. They have embedded themselves in our country. ICE has to fight a literal war on our streets with casualties, unfortunately, to remove these people that think they got a right to be here and are not going without a fight and are causing their own death. The propaganda war is saying, look what ICE is doing, killing people. That's going to happen. Or the other way is they take over our country. They're violating our sovereignty. So, if you shut down the operation down, I see it for what it is. You won't have a sovereign country. So, in the Bible, people have stood up against authority. That was wrong. Pointed it out to them through messaging. That's what we're doing. King David committed adultery with Bathsheba, then arranged her husband's death to cover it up. God sent the prophet Nathan, one man, no army, straight to the king's court. Nathan told a story about a rich man stealing a poor man's only lamb, and he let David condemn the injustice himself. Then said 4 words after he told him the story of the injustice that was going on. David didn't know he was talking about him. Then he said, "You are the man. You're the man. You are the man, Governor Bill Lee." Former Governor Bill has been. Tennessee court judges, you're doing Tennesseans wrong. And I'm here to tell you and point it out. You are the man. 2 Samuel 12. The king who could have executed him for treason broke down and repented instead. And they're not breaking down and repenting. They're trying to attack me. They've gone the wrong way. Elijah confronts Ahab. King Ahab and Queen Jezebel had a man named Naboth murdered so they could steal his vineyard. Steal what he had. That's what the government's doing to you. Steal what you got. God sent Elijah to meet Ahab at the stolen property, right at the stolen property. We got some of that allegations going on right here in Knox County, Tennessee, don't we? Have you murdered and also taken possession? Kings 21. No office, no army, just the truth delivered to the king's face on the king's own stolen ground. Daniel refuses the king's order. Daniel served in Babylon government under kings who demanded things that violated his conscience. This stuff in Tennessee should shock the conscience of the mass populace of Tennesseans, should shock the conscience of the mass populace of Americans. Voted the most dangerous state in America. He didn't stage an uprising. He refused to comply publicly and accepted the consequences. The lion's den, Daniel 6. He kept serving faithfully in government while refusing the corrupt commands. Amos against the corrupt courts. The prophet Amos confronted Israel's ruling class for a specific abuse. And I'm confronting the ruling class. And they don't care. They're not going to repent. Judges who turn justice into bitterness and take bribes while trampling the poor. Amos 5, 7 through 12. His most famous line, "Let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream." Amos 5, 24. So there's been men in the Bible. This is not a new phenomenon. We're not in heaven. Government going rogue, and they have in the state of Tennessee, under a Christian banner. Isn't that horrific? That's false propaganda. Did these men win? Nathan and David, it worked. David repented and stayed king. Elijah and Ahab mixed. The king bowed his head for a moment. Jezebel had Elijah haunted, and he ran for his life. Daniel, complete win. The degree was reversed. Amos, the hardest one, no repentance recorded. He was told to leave the kingdom. None of them knew which outcome they'd get before they opened their mouths. They spoke anyway. Not guaranteed victory, just guaranteed truth. Now that's what we're here about. We're not guaranteed victory, but I guarantee I'll tell the truth. the visibility trap. They got its name for it in Brazil. Political scientists call it the visibility effect. I call it the oldest trick in the boot on your neck playbook. And this is what I am subject to. Here's how it works. The more corruption you expose, the more it looks like corruption is getting worse. So the public turns on the person doing exposing, not the ones who built the scheme. Fighting corruption becomes more dangerous than hiding it. That's not an accident, that's the design. Try to make it more dangerous for me to protect the mass populace of Tennesseans than it is to shut up and go on. But I've been living my life in danger all my life, tactically. But this is a danger that I'm warning you about. You can help through subscribing. Please subscribe. Please like and share and spread the message. The message against the visibility effect. I'm not causing the problem because I'm pointing it out. They are causing the problem. And it can become more dangerous for me, and it already has, to put out the truth than it would be to go along, but I'm not. So recognize the visibility effect. Just because I'm visibly calling out crime and corruption, I'm not creating it, I'm pointing it out. Colonel Matt Perry stood in front of the legislature and testified against sober DUI arrest. I've got 2,547 documented sober DUI arrests since 2017 that say otherwise. He said under oath, no false DUI arrests. You don't get caught in a lie. You didn't get caught in a lie because I'm loud. You got caught because the paper trail doesn't lie. And now I'm the problem pointing it out. The Tennessee Board of Law Examiners did the same thing to me symbolically and for real. Their own memorandum opinion admits my speech was protected. They used that protected speech as a reason to deny my law license. They put the confession in writing and are daring a federal judge to read it. Also using wins in federal court against me just because I was sued falsely. Usurping the power and authority of the federal court from your state of Tennessee. Also stealing your tax money from the state of Tennessee judiciary. And the Tennessee Supreme Court, they're the ones who let the board operate with zero limiting principles. No rule stopping him. And we'll let this ambulance go by. No one's stopping them from not having any limiting principles, from violating your constitutional rights. That's how they operate, lawless. The judiciary, the one that's supposed to enforce the law. That's why we have Article 1, Sections 1 and 2 of the Tennessee Constitution. And the Tennessee Supreme Court, they're the ones who let the board operate with zero limiting principles. No rule stopping them from turning your free speech into a weapon against you. Dubuque versus Michigan says you can't do that. The judge already cited it once. This case is fully briefed in federal court. This is how the system protects itself. Expose the rot, get called the rot. Stay quiet, get promoted. That's the incentive structure they built, and I'm not playing it. I'm not suicidal, and don't take unnecessary chances. But I know how to read a paper trail, and they started it, I know how to finish it. Using live on this broadcast, getting messages out, subscribe and help me. In federal court, in this campaign, by anonymous survey if you go on and fill it out, and other means, but I won't put it out on this channel. All of them perfectly legal, legitimate, protected under the Constitution, and non-violent. So here are the people that are running the government right now. This is former Major Stacey Heatherly, her husband still works on the CERT team that decides who gets arrested and who don't, who's at fault in a wreck. Which way are we supposed to go? You can see it. Move over law, and they got a sign pointing move over law for my wife, for my husband. Got a sign, where are we supposed to go? Right between them. Butt cheek 1, move over for my husband. Butt cheek 2, move over for my wife. So that's the people running the state government right now. She retired. He's still calling the shots. Mr. Lamar Alexander just put out a book criticizing President Trump for saying that he did more stuff against what his mother told him not to do before lunch than most citizens do. Lamar Alexander running down the president. Governor Bill Haslam, that's how fake these people are. Governor Bill Haslam said that the president didn't have the character to be president. All campaigning against the president, putting out a message against President Donald J. Trump. You say, well, it's true, really. Even if it is, they're fake. Because after he won the White House, they're out at the tarmac welcoming him off the airplane here in Tennessee. After they've run him down, didn't want him to fly in Air Force One. They're outside Air Force One welcoming him. Haslam said he didn't have character. He's out shaking his hand. Lamar Alexander says he's horrific for saying protest peacefully. Wrote a book about him. And you can see here, here's the president, Trump, on the tarmac. That's Governor Bill Haslam after he's ran him down, worshiping the power. Which one was it? Bill has been. He's fake. He's a dirty liar. After he's in power, that he tried him not to get, that's the president, Donald Trump. That's Bill Haslam. After he ran him down, there's Lamar Alexander today saying that the president doesn't obey his mother, that he does more things that your mother told you not to do before lunch. While he's in the White House, he criticizes him, saying go down to the Capitol and peacefully protest, saying that was anarchy. And there he is at the tarmac worshiping him. So which one is it? These people are fake as hell. So there's Lamar Alexander, who hired his chief of staff, was a child pornographer, evidently. So he's a real good judge of character. He's gotten rich off his convenience stores, calling him, his character, not good. What a crock of baloney. What a crock of baloney. That's how fake these people are. That's who's running your government right now. These crooks in power. And the state of Tennessee, and it's in the newspaper, by this man here, Todd Larkin. It's propaganda. We're putting out the truth against their lies. I mean, they say in their academy that I'm paying for them to sponsor academy. I have to pay taxes. You have to pay taxes and die. I'm paying for these troopers. My taxes pay for them to put out false stuff about me. I'm putting out the truth about them. So Mr. Todd Larkin put out a lie about me. He said that, don't believe that lying camera, believe me. Put that on the front page of the newspaper with my picture. Trying to have me assassinated. Lied about me, Todd Larkin. Todd Larkin volunteered to go to executions. He likes to watch people die. What a sick man. I was on the highway patrol. I seen a lot of death. And the evidence thereafter. It's not like reading in the newspaper about somebody dying in a car crash. That is sad. And people feel sad. And you hear about such and such died. Right now, there's a couple that was killed in Kentucky in a car crash. One of them donated one of her organs while she was alive. Very good person. Her husband was killed in a car wreck in Kentucky. You hear about that on the news and you feel bad. It is a entirely different thing to go to these wrecks that I have, boots on the ground, and look at these people dead in a car. It's surreal. It shows you how fragile life is. and you put together on the scene at your job is exactly how they died, how they left this planet. The horrific, gory details uncovered. And while the ambulance and everybody's there and the scene's not secure and you're out on the side of the interstate with your life at risk dealing with this stuff, it's not pretty. It's your job. Smelling some of the worst horrific stuff at fatal wrecks where people burn to death, and the smell is horrific. They tell you they burn to death on television at the scene with their boots on the ground. You can smell a horrific body burn smell that is horrible. And you learn to put stuff under your nose where you can't smell it as bad. It is one thing to hear about death on television. It is surreal to actually be on your boots on the ground and work this stuff. Even if you don't know them, it is a sad, horrific thing that you do for the public good, to try to find out how it happened so that you can slow it down, prevent it the next time to do that. But you don't enjoy seeing death. I didn't. I hated it. I considered not going to work for the Highway Patrol because I didn't want to see a lot of that. I did. So you've seen this. Hear about these people that died that were good people and feel sad. The trooper that worked that wreck, the troopers had to be on the ground, see these people dead in the car, draw the skid marks, the car that hit them, see them dead there, see how it happened. That's not a pleasant thing to do. You do it for public good. It's not something you enjoy seeing. Mr. Todd Larkin enjoyed watching people die. He volunteered to go to executions. You have other news people that are ordered to go in executions, and usually one and done. They don't want to do it. They don't want to see the person. This man here that tried to have me assassinated volunteered for executions. What a sick, pathetic man, Mr. Larkins. I'm putting out truthful propaganda against people that lied on me. Pretty damn good at it, huh? It's the truth. I didn't enjoy seeing people dead. I enjoyed arresting people before they ended up dead. I tried to do just that. So, Mr. Todd Larkin wrote that in a newspaper article. He wrote that I was responsible for the state dismissing drunk driving cases. We're talking about the messaging war. I'm telling you about these people. They're dirty as hell. These are people that message falsely against me. I'm just telling you about them. Let's look at them. Let's look at the reporter that wrote stuff about me. Now, he wrote that I said, put right under my names, don't believe that lying camera, believe me. I never said that. So he's misquoting me. He loves executions. These are these propagandists. They love to see people die. I didn't love that. I stopped a lot of that. He wrote in the paper, Mr. Todd Larkins, here's his name, Matt Larkin. 100+ drivers can tear up their tickets, papers, and walk away, courtesy of the ex-Tennessee Highway Patrol trooper fired for driving past a fiery wreck last year. Knox County prosecutors dropped charges Friday in all cases handled by Charles Van Morgan, a veteran trooper who routinely logged the most drunk driving arrests in the Knoxville District for 4 years. Morgan lost his job this month after THP internal investigators determined he drove by the November 6th wreck that killed Antonio. See, that's propaganda. That's propaganda. That's false. He says thanks to me. So, how can you be responsible for what the Knox County prosecutors do? Oh, we can't blame them for them doing what they did. You blame the trooper that's out on the road risking his life, that had to see this mess that the prosecutor's office allowed. They never charged one of these people that served that man that was an adult but under the drinking age. They never charged any of them for serving him alcohol. Why ain't the prosecutors doing their jobs? No, they attacked the trooper. See, it's false propaganda. Mr. Matt Larkin, who loves execution, he loves this death stuff. I didn't. I tried to stop it. But it mentions I routinely logged the most drunk driving arrests in Knoxville District for years. Yeah, I did. I lowered the fatality rate. But he's saying that is a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. And you didn't hear the paper trail of 0 blood alcohol level on my arrest that you have now. These were good arrests. And thanks to me, they were dismissed. How do you get the county prosecutor, line, not worth a plug nickels, dismissing legitimate cases, not holding people responsible for drunk driving? And it's the trooper's fault. That's called false propaganda. It's not my fault. It's not thanks to me. In fact, the very time he's writing this article, I was going to court in another county without pay, trying to make your roads safe. He didn't put that in there, did he? No, not in his propaganda lies. The government's trying to kill you. We're in a just war against their lies. So here, at the same time, here's a subpoena. He's saying they dismiss cases thanks to me. No, they dismiss cases thanks to your road prosecutor's office under Sharman Tissue Allen. It doesn't prosecute the law. They just admitted that. She didn't prosecute the law. They dismiss cases. I didn't have control over that. They issued me a subpoena in another county that I went to court. Look at this right here. Charles Van Morgan, THP, 19th day of June, 2013. They're giving me a subpoena to testify in Claiborne County on a DUI for David Hugh Crumley. Look it up. Brian Billy Ray, I can't read his last name, Clerk. It was 2012, 2013. Even after I'm not getting paid, I was already terminated wrongly by the Highway Patrol. They're issuing me a subpoena to the sheriff. Greetings, summons Charles Van Morgan, THP, to go to court, criminal court in Claiborne County. So they are subpoenaing me to go to court, and I did. Met with the prosecutor. Well, they're blaming me for dismissing cases when I'm going on cases when the THP, the bums in THP, aren't paying me. They want me to work for free, and I did. I didn't want people to get out of killing people in a drunk driving case. This man here allegedly, and he pled guilty to charges, killed 2 people, a man and his wife, in Claiborne County. They didn't dismiss that charge. They subpoenaed me and I went to court. So how am I responsible for what other people do? That's a pretty high bar. Bad stuff goes on, that's a propaganda thing. Bad stuff goes on and you blame the innocent party that's trying to stop it and exonerate the guilty people that are causing it. I'm not responsible, Sharman Tissue Allen, for your dirty crimes. You low-life piece of dirt thug that's a danger to Knox County, Tennessee. Now, she said I was, oh, Van, you're being hard on her. She put my children at risk. That office put my family at risk. They put you at risk. They set me up for being assassinated, putting my picture up saying I hurt a little child. How dirty they are. Saying I was a dirty thug. No, I was out on the road risking my life while they did that dastardly deed in a protected office, figuring out how to lie in complete safety. Sharman Tissue Allen, that's your prosecutor in Knox County, Tennessee right here. I'm not saying to shoot her. She was saying to shoot me. They put me on the front page of the paper, putting me in a bad light, saying it's okay for people to assassinate somebody that hurts children. What they're trying to say, they're lying. They lied. They hurt children. One of the cases that they dismissed, not me, they did. They blamed me for what they did. That's a pretty good trick, ain't it? The person I arrested, put in jail, tried to get him prosecuted for hurting a child. She released him. She did. They released somebody that hurt a child. Now, I'm not saying to shoot him. I'm saying to vote their damn nasty asses out of our government offices. We're at war with these people. Politically, they are at war with you. So I'm going to court. That's facts. When they say, thanks to me, they're dismissing cases. Where they gave me a subpoena and asked me to come to court, I went to court. They're not dismissing cases based on my credibility. They're dismissing cases based on a credibility war against me because they didn't want me arresting their lawyers in their little group, in their little criminal conspiracy. And that's what they're doing. So I wanted to read you this, because this is the part that messaging against me, messaging the crooked stuff. And I got a special note for you. Somebody texted me something this morning, something very important. You text me news, put it through my confidential communication, and if it's something substantial, I'll report it. Something important for Knox Countyans today. But while I'm out campaigning against the government, against them releasing people that kill you, that hurt little children, they did that, not me. And I'm saying, hey, I didn't do that. They did that. They wrote out paperwork and dismissed legitimate arrests, saying I wasn't candid enough to testify, at the same time giving me a subpoena to testify in another county, which I did. I didn't have the authority not to dismiss those cases. Your crooked attorney general that you voted for. So now I'm trying to tell you to unelect these people. Prosecute them. There's blood all over the highway for the past about 14 years, where the fatality rate has skyrocketed. Numerous deaths because of what they did. They're still in office. While I was out spreading this message that's true for your safety, protection, and well-being, they got a false civil case against me and commanded me under threat of arrest to come to this dirty courthouse. They got it all over the paper. A judge said Van needed a social order protection, so he must have needed one. No, I didn't. They threatened to put my witnesses in jail. I'm just fighting their false propaganda with the truth. Judge McMillan, the dirty judge that he is, threatened to put me in jail, threatened to put my witness in jail for testifying in my favor. You're not allowed to go against their will, their false propaganda. Well, I do, I will. I double dog dare you. You won't hurt me with serious bodily injury or death. I won't get on my knees. I'll fight you justifiably. In the Constitution we can. So here's a witness, a letter from a witness that was at the scene where they ordered, your Tennessee court ordered truth to a lie. They're liars. That's part of their propaganda machine. Judicial rulings are false propaganda. I said that judicial rulings by the judges, the dirty Tennessee judges, are false, lies, made up evidence. You don't have a fair shot in the Tennessee courtroom. They adjudicate lies against you and get money from you. That's what they do in Knox County, Tennessee. All across the United States. America, telling you what they do in Tennessee. I'm not saying to kill them like they'd like to have me killed. People that put out their propaganda love to see death and executions. I don't. I'm for life, they're for death. They lie, lie, lie. And I'm exposing their lies. So they said that I need the social order protection against me. Look at the facts of that. A dirty judge, McMillan said that. He's a dirty judge. They told me not to say that. Don't call the judiciary dirty. They're squealing like pigs. I'll say it louder. The dirty Tennessee judiciary are dangerous to Tennesseans. They'll take your money and put you in jail when you did nothing wrong. They're the ones that need to go to jail. That's the truth. You won't hear anybody else say that. Subscribe to the channel. Let me put out the truth so that we can fight this, because they cannot do this unless they have enough voluntary cooperation. Don't cooperate with their wickedness towards you. It's biblical. It's been going on for years. Fight it. Don't go along to get along. You will get the worst. So here's what one of my witnesses said. John Anna Wolford, Lenoir City, Tennessee. Statement of: I was present when Tammy Goodrich, our oldest sister, requested an order of protection against my brother, Charles Van Morgan, for events taking place at our deceased mother's house shortly after her death. Charles Van Morgan did not block his sister Tammy Goodrich in the house at any time in any way. The judge, McMillan, yelled at Charles Van Morgan, not allowing him to explain. Charles Van Morgan was very respectful to the judge. I, being present in the house, knowing the situation that took place, believe the courts misjudged the case, getting it totally wrong, and no order of protection was warranted. It was a successful effort in using the courts to gain an unfair advantage in my mother's estate. I believe the judge had already made up his mind before even hearing the case, as with evidence in the case this case and in the prior cases. Specifically, 2 cases before Charles Van Morgan's case was heard, a lady had asked for an order of protection against her grandson for breaking a window in his bedroom. In open court, clearly audible to the entire courtroom, with Tammy and Fred Goodrich present, close to the front row, Judge McMillan, who later ruled in this case, asked the lady 3 times the same question, apparently not liking the answer she gave, at which time a bailiff, Knox County Sheriff's deputy, walked up to the lady, testifying under oath, and said to her, you're in fear. And she did. Later, while Tammy and Fred Goodrich were testifying, and that is one of the first things she said, because I believe she knew those were the words. However, not true. She needed to say to get an unnecessary order. David Graham, the attorney for Charles Van Morgan, told us the same thing about the judge, that he had acted unlawfully in the hearing. Against my brother, Charles Van Morgan. So, it is my belief that my brother acted appropriately in making a complaint through the Board of Judicial Conduct, and since it was recorded, it should have been investigated, because I was not treated right, nor my brother, and in the previous case, lady's grandson was not given a fair hearing. Further, I have read and agree completely with Exhibit 1. I believe my brother, Charles Van Morgan, would abide by the rules of attorney professional conduct, would make an excellent attorney for the people of Tennessee, is being wrongly blackballed by the Tennessee government for no legal reason. John Anna Warford, do by solemnly swear, affirm under penalty of perjury that I am competent to give the following declaration based on my personal knowledge, and that the following statement is true and correct to the best of my knowledge, that the information included in the declaration is true to the best of my knowledge and belief. So 11/15/24, so that's recently. So what I'm saying is, now they put out propaganda. Don't elect him. He had to have a social order protection. No, I need a social order protection against Judge McMillan, because I was out campaigning against the very governing offices that he sits on the throne, peacefully, legitimately, legally putting out information against the judiciary, and he calls me into his court and doesn't even let me testify, and here's a witness, and there are 2 other ones. One of them he threatened to put in jail. So we're at war. You're at war against your government. I'm just your spokesperson out front. These are evil, wicked people, and we need to fight them. And here is someone sent me a text message. I'm not going to mention his name. He might not want me to. If he does, next time I will. He says, look what I just discovered. Knox County mayoral candidate Hugh Hawk was marching with the left wing in support of Maduro in 2020. So we have a candidate who was marching in support of an accused criminal now under arrest in the United States. That's running for county mayor. So I wouldn't vote for him. I'd vote for Becky Henderson. And he's running for county mayor. These people are infiltrating our government and making bad laws. Knox County Mayor candidate Bo Hawk marched in Venezuela for Nicolas Maduro. Bo Hawk, the Democratic nominee for Knox County Mayor, marched in Caracas in support of former Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro in 2020. That's put out by Eileen Feinberg, and she has been a little better at reporting news than the previous Matt Larkin, a lot better than Matt Larkin, but still part of the news media. But this is an article that she put out. So we have here in Knox County the same ball game, same old ball and chain. These people are trying to get government office to rule against you. Somebody sent me that today, and I appreciate it. And we'll explain to you why that's bad. Because it is. Maduro's administration has been widely classified as kleptocracy, where state wealth is siphoned via embezzlement, currency manipulation, and control over government contracts. He's trying to, somebody that supported that is trying to get mayor over Knox County right now. I wouldn't vote for that. He might win if we don't vote. And this man, Bo Hawk, had supported him, marched him in favor of a state where wealth is subpoenaed. And he's wanting to be siphoned, embezzled. He's wanting to be mayor over Knox County right now, coming up election. I'd go vote him out. His government has been implicated in international money laundering and smuggling schemes, frequently colluding with outside organizations. Somebody sent me that this morning. And he is running for mayor here in Knox County. Could be. And he supported a rogue government, somebody that's in jail in New York now. This man that he supported that's wanting to be Knox County mayor over me and you, and he might damn well get it. I wouldn't be surprised. I'd vote for Becky Henderson. But if he wins, this is what he supported. He supported a regime that supported systematic torture. This stuff is real. It's scary. We're at war with these people. Political war, non-violent, but here's what they support. He supported a regime that is reported to operate numerous torture centers, such as the infamous El Al-Assad in Caracas, where state intelligence agencies arbitrarily detain, torture, and abuse political opponents. Yeah, I know the feeling. Journalists and human rights activists. Now that's who's running for mayor here in Knox County. That, if you listen to the government, we don't need to be at war against these people. Political war. We don't need to get up and vote. Yeah, we do. This is what's taken over. Some of these people are already in our public offices to this day. Here's another one trying to get in there. You need to know about these people. Don't vote for these people. That's my suggestion. I don't care what he don't like. 6'2", 240 pounds. Try to hurt me, take me down. I'll fight like hell. You won't hurt me. I'm not afraid. That's what I do. That's my forte, Mr. Bo Hawk. You got to be ashamed of your nasty self. Go to Venezuela, live that life over there. Don't bring that crap over here to Knoxville, Tennessee. It's already here. Don't bring more of it. Thank you to the person that brought this forward to me. Crimes against humanity. This is what this man that's running for Knox County mayor was promoting in the foreign country. Independent organizations have documented tens of thousands of extrajudicial killings, short-term enforced disappearances, and brutal crackdowns on peaceful protesters. Getting more of that in the state of Tennessee. Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro is accused by the U.S. Department of Justice and international human rights groups of perpetrating narco-terrorism. Welcome to the Knox County Mayor government. You're in charge. Here's the key. A person that supported Nicolas Maduro, who's accused of all this stuff, in jail, supported him in 2020. Neo-narco-terrorism, they say he perpetrated that. Transnational drug trafficking in the United States. That's what they got him in jail for. And severe human rights abuses. Now this is the thing. And people make fun of me for not getting many votes. This man that supported somebody in a foreign country that is accused of all this stuff, in jail for it, facing charges right now. He is probably, and just listen to this, I'll show you his picture where he's campaigning for these people. He will probably get more votes than I did. And I ask you, terrorism, that's not the way to go. I'm against that stuff. It's not the way to go. The reason I got lots of votes in the past, and there's a tipping scale, is because I'm fighting against them and nobody else is. Here he is. Here he is right here. Nobody else is. I'm fighting against them and nobody else is. He'll get more votes than I did in Knox County, probably, unless you all change that. Somebody that supports all this, supports Nicolas Maduro, who is probably guilty of all this stuff. Narco-terrorism, transnational drug trafficking, human rights abuses. He's running for our Knox County mayor. Let's put him in, right? So, allegedly leads the Cartel de los Solos, Cartel of the Suns, a network of corrupt military and political elites. That's who's running to take over our Knox County Sheriff's Department, our Knox County government. And there's already people like that in government power right now to this day. I would vote, hello, thank you, I would vote for Becky Henderson. Now, she's promised not to raise taxes. Whether she'll do that or not, I don't know. She is not in Venezuela campaigning for somebody that's involved in narco-terrorism, human trafficking, human rights abuses, that supported that stuff. I mean, that's an X on that candidate. There's no way in hell that you should be on the ballot. The Democratic Party is endorsing that man. He's running against her, and he'll get more votes than I did in the last election I ran. So I'm not ashamed at all. If I have to get on a party ticket that will rise me above dastardly deeds, I'll never get elected. I'm not sacrificing my credibility for a party ticket. They're crooked as hell. Democrats and Republicans both. Please help us get the message out. Vote for Becky Henderson here in Knox County for Knox County Mayor. Early voting starts next week. So that's how dirty our government is. We will try to read a few messages. Thank you to our subscribers and people that are watching our show. We will recap. Today has been a show about we are a just war against our government, a just political war against our government. We're at war against Iran. Trump put out a message the other day to notify Congress. And Andy Ogles, elected official, certified publicly that we're at war against people in the judiciary. That's expanded to mean all the people. You need some, well, I don't know what that is. I'm trying to read the comments. So, that's not the sole identifier of any system of government. Obama reported a shitload of people, yet the left didn't call him names like they should have. That's right. So any comments in here? Let's see if I've got some subscribers. I promised to read their comments first. Hey, what happened with that wreck yesterday? I don't know. The police came. I haven't heard anything about it. It was a wreck apparently without injury. You think Jesus wanted you to hold hate? Have you never read the Bible? I don't hold hate. There's just wars. That's not hate. That's self-preservation. That's what my Heavenly Father will do to you if you refuse to forgive your brothers and sisters from your heart. That's a whole different theme and subject. You can forgive people and defend yourself against them. And if you don't, you got to defend your family for not defending yourself against people that you claim that you're supposed to be loving while they're raping your family and friends. So you're mixing stuff that don't go together. We're not in heaven. There are just wars. I hate that for you, but grow up. You have to, face reality. I've seen it up live and personal on the roads. Jail is more serious than you may think it is. Matthew 18:21 through 35. Quit your crying. That's all you do 24/7 is whine like a little girl. Would you like some cheese with that wine? I don't know if they're talking about me. I'm not whining. I'm fighting. I'm punching away. Before Abraham I was, I am. That's right, God was. So let's see, heaven will one day come to earth. The Bible teaches there'll be a new heaven and a new earth. So it won't be this current earth, a new one. Humanity has always been at war in one way or another. God bless the day it stops. Nobody wants war. I believe that we are just addicted to it. Everything is competition. That may be true. Let's see some of the first comments we got. And help us get the message out if you can. Subscribe to the channel, and if you can, contribute. You'll find out you were evil when you wind up in hell, Mr. Hero. you know my soul, and you know my heart, right? Okay. I'm glad you do, because I don't know your heart. I know you're a pathetic person for thinking you're God and playing God and knowing somebody else is where they're going. I don't. Oh, look, an ambulance. Laugh out loud, yeah. Southern man, drink the Kool-Aid and believes the government is giving immigrants business. Can't have foreign interests obfuscate our law. My bad, Spencer. You said literally, did he literally turn down refugee, or did he actually turn down refugee? Words having meaning. Don't know what that means. Southern man, you and red states are lazy and refuse to work. Okay. I'm not hellbound. Jesus loves me. That's right. Have the armor of God. That's right. I'm untouchable like Trump. I don't know. He's a fighter. It's hard to get to him, isn't it? I love Mr. Trump. I loved Mr. Biden. I hope he did well. He literally sent refugees back to where they were in danger despite having a legal right to be there. Have you going to support the MAGA hat and have the nerve to rant about corruption? You voted for the most corrupt president in U.S. history. Well, you'd be wrong. And this is not a MAGA hat. See? It is not. But I'd be proud to wear a Make America Great hat again. Somebody buy me one. I'll wear it. You have to be able to think for yourself to understand liberals are communists who want to enslave America. That's true. So let's go down the list here. Thank y'all for joining me. Get a few subscribers on here. Let's see if we got any new comments. I'm reading them right now on air. Got any questions, comments, or concerns? It's doable with thought out plans. Obama wasn't breaking international laws to deport immigrants, and the majority of deportations were violent offenders. I don't like Obama's deportation policies, but he did it 1,000% better than Trump. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. That's not true. That's not true at all. Woodrow Wilson was the most corrupt in any opinion. So, thank y'all for joining me. We'll try to be back on here Friday and report unbridled news. We are at political war with our government. A war of messaging and attrition means keep at it. Messaging on this channel, we're filing federal civil lawsuits to try to represent your rights. and fight them in many other ways. Join the channel, subscribe to the channel, and help us fight the people in government power who are abusing you. Thank y'all very much. God loves you, and I do too.